Is that recovery to be taken with both hands, and should you trade on the long side, or should that improvement be used to sell and therefore trades on the short side? All those questions to our next expert, Shubham Agarwal of Motilal Oswal Securities joins us. Good morning, Shubham. I can't tell you how many people will be hanging on to what you say today because of the confusing nature of the markets yesterday. Well, first up, the Nifty and the Bank Nifty, how would you trade them? Is the recovery to be used to buy or sell?
Yeah, good morning, Lata. If you look at yesterday's movement, it's very obvious that it was a very confusing day where we saw a steep correction happening in the first half and then later a recovery. But if you look at the medium-term pattern of Nifty, for the past 4 months, Nifty has been forming a downward sloping wedge, and it is still within that pattern. So if you look at the historical behavior, the probability is almost 75 to 80% that this kind of a pattern should actually break out on the upside. So if you talk about specific levels, if the market opens 35-40 points lower today is what the SGX Nifty is indicating, and if it is around 8100, my call would be that one should look to buy Nifty. Given the fact that 7950 is a very important support on the index, and the reward to risk is favorable, because if this downward sloping wedge plays out, 8800 would be the target on Nifty. So we are talking about a 700 points of upside with a stop loss of 150 points, which is a very favorable reward to risk at this point of time. Even on Bank Nifty, 17,100 is a very important support to look at on the index, and the reward to risk remains favorable there. So I think one should look to initiate a buy position with some hedge in place, but definitely the market can give a bigger move from the current level than the downside that we see at this point of time.
Okay, that's a positive view. So buy the Nifty, and 7950 is a strong support level. The risk reward is favorable. So tell us some stocks to buy, because yesterday we did see domestic institutions buy quite a bit, and in late trade there was a lot of action on the upside. BPCL was one stock that rose about 2%. You would buy that name today?
Yes, definitely. If you look at the medium-term setup, even there, it was in a long-term consolidation, and from there it has been breaking out on the upside. And recently, 835 was a very strong resistance for the stock, which it managed to surpass. And there is again a continuation pattern that is getting formed on the chart. So I believe this is one of the strongest setup that we have in the market today. So relatively, the stock is outperforming, despite the fact that Nifty has been falling down. It has been able to sustain higher highs. So my call would be that one can look to buy BPCL for a target of 950, and a stop for the same can be kept at 828.
Okay, now before I come to your other stocks, could you also take us through the Bank Nifty? Does it give you the same confidence or risk reward ratio that the Nifty gives?
Yes, on the relative term, if you look at Bank Nifty, a few months back it was an underperformer, but recently it has coped up with the Nifty. So the performance is almost neutral with what the Nifty is doing. And if you look at the absolute price chart there is a doji that has been formed yesterday, where there's a steep shadow that we have seen on the daily chart, and that has happened around the support of this band of 17,000 to 17,500. So I think 17,100 is a very important support to look at in the near term, and given the fact that it is almost very near to that level, the call should be that one should look to initiate buy positions even on Bank Nifty. The target might not be very lucrative there, but then 18,800 is what we are looking at on Bank Nifty from here.
Okay, so that's the word coming in on the Bank Nifty. But, you were telling us that the market will move up higher and the risk reward is favorable. But you have some sell calls on some of these private sector banks like IndusInd Bank. You don't think they will participate in the rebound?
Yes, if you look at the behavior there in some of the private sector banks, and if you decompose the Nifty, there is some relative underperformance that we have seen from the private sector banks. So if you look at Axis Bank, ICICI, these names have already broken down. And IndusInd Bank, given the fact that a few days back we have seen a bearish engulfing pattern getting formed on the daily chart. So it's not a very long-term call, but yes, we believe there is a 10% correction in IndusInd Bank that can take place, and hence we are recommending a sell on that for a target of 760, and a stop for the same can be kept at 890.
Well, actually, if bond yields fall today in keeping with global markets, then you should see a rise in bond prices, which is usually positive for PSU banks. That might help them as well. But let's go through your other finance-related picks as well. REC? You have a sell on that?
Yes. Right. So on the medium-term chart, we have seen that RSI has already broken down from the level of 305, which was a very important support for the script. There was a temporary pullback up to 310, but that did not, the stock was not able to again, surpass that resistance, and again we have seen a continued selling. So this is making us believe that, it can even fall further. So the recent pullback that was there was a pennant formation from where the stock has already confirmed a breakdown. So I believe that, the stock is headed lower for a target of 230, and one can create a sell position with a stop loss at 298.
Okay, and this one I didn't expect. Titan, more selling.
Yes, absolutely. This is a new stock that has emerged on the sell side because it was almost neutral and there was no movement that we have seen for a very long time. But given the fact that the stock has again seen some bearish pattern getting formed around the level of 380, and the daily chart is indicating a breakdown which has already taken place. So I think it's a good idea to take a sell call over here with a stop loss at 372, and the target for the same can be kept at 333.
What is the time period? This is just an intraday call, or would you extend it?
No, I would expect this to happen within the time frame of 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
Okay. You have a couple of more buy calls, so let's go through them. You have a buy on Siemens this morning. Is it just an intraday buy, or do you think that one can take it with a longer term view as well?
There's definitely a long-term buy because we are expecting a 26% move there. So that's with a time frame of almost 4 to 5 months. But then if you look at the setup, I would take a top-down approach over here. So the sector view remains positive. The entire capital goods space on our statistical model is indicating a very big relative outperformance that can play out in the medium term. Within that, if we decompose that, then L&T and Siemens are the ones which are coming up. But at this point of time, we believe that Siemens, where we have seen a consolidation happening for quite some time, but that consolidation is almost mature and the stock is at a verge of a breakout. So that is the reason we are recommending Siemens at this point of time for a target of 1700, and a stop can be kept at 1200.
Okay, and finally, this is not a stock that I have seen recommended by technical guys for some time now, EIL.
Yes, the stock was there in a long-term downtrend unless and until it broke out from the downtrend channel that was there last year. But then, even then, since the last year, it has been gradually coming down. But the reason that we're recommending a buy there is that the impulse move that we saw last year, the pullback has already taken place to the extent of 76.5%, which according to some elite wave studies is a very important support for the script. So we are expecting a reversal to happen in the stock. The stock has not seen too much of momentum so far, but given the fact that it is at a very crucial support, we expect the stock to see a reversal, and this is why we are recommending a buy there for a target of 240, and the stop can be kept at 188. If we look at the medium-term pattern, then I believe that 240 is a very small target. It can even extend to the level of 300 to 350.
All right, Shubham, thanks for giving us all those ideas, and you have a good day and a good weekend. We'll see you again next week. That's the word coming in from Motilal Oswal. But here's a quick recap of Shubham's stocks, his trading ideas for today. Let's start with the buy calls. He has a buy on BPCL, a buy on EIL, a buy on Siemens India, and the targets and stop losses are flashing for you on the screen. He has some sell calls as well. Then it'll come up for you. He's selling IndusInd Bank, he's selling REC, and he's selling Titan, with the stop losses and targets that you can see on your screen. So hope that will help you wade through the day.